Okay. So, the Financial Planning Committee members, we have 2 members from the Board of Selectmen, Dennis Blackwell and Joe Espino, 2 school committee representatives, Kristen Evans and Stephanie Peters, called and convened by the Board of Selectmen in late spring, and it was given 3 primary charges. It was to assess the town's financial position with updated 5-year financial projections, including revenue, expenses, and capital budget. It was to also chart a course of action to determine whether to present an override question. And then, assuming the selectmen will decide to present an override question, identify additional information and the steps necessary to define and move forward towards an override question. The approach the committee took was, first of all, to update the 5-year financial projections for fiscal year 10 through fiscal year 14. The FPC, Financial Planning Committee, developed a series of budget scenarios which demonstrate the scope and nature of the financial deficit in fiscal year 10 through fiscal years 14. And the FPC identified the significant capital projects which would most likely need to be done during the next 5 years, and to ensure that the full scope of the deficit is identified. The FPC concluded that the town will experience both a significant immediate and cumulative financial deficit. Town expenses, including utilities, health insurance, pension contributions, and labor costs, continue to grow faster than town revenues, which primarily consist of state aid, real estate taxes, and excise taxes and fees. And recent history demonstrates that there is little prospect for increased state aid within the time frame of the 5-year financial projections. Additionally, the final portion of the debt service for a school building project comes due in fiscal year 10 and will constitute a key component of town expenses within the time frame of the 5-year financial projections. The strategy to pay for the remaining costs of the school building project needs to be reevaluated in light of the changed financial circumstances since Hull voters originally approved the school building projects. And most notable, the economy experienced a significant downturn, which has resulted in a $3 million per year cut in state aid beginning in fiscal year 2004. Level funding the fiscal year 10 budget results in a projected deficit of $1.9 million. So the Financial Planning Committee, after many meetings and looking at a variety of different scenarios, came down to this series of 7 scenarios to present within this report. The first scenario is cut operational budget with capital improvements scheduled for fiscal year 11 through 14. The second scenario would be a level services budget in fiscal year 10 through 14 with capital improvement figures in fiscal year 11 through 14. When we talk about the capital improvement figures, it's important to note that's really related to major capital improvements that have been put on hold for many years. The third scenario would be a level funded budget with an override and capital improvements being funded. Fourth scenario was level funded with override, capital improvements, and school debt exclusion, meaning excluding the balance of the Memorial School project as well as the value of the Jacob School debt that will be coming online in fiscal year 10. Scenario 5 would be level service budget, which would show a 4% operational growth, or 4% growth in the operational budgets with an override and capital improvements. The sixth scenario was level services with, again, 4% operational growth, override, capital improvements, and school debt exclusion. And the last scenario was what would it take as kind of a one-time solution. What would you have to raise in an override in year 1 to take care of the problem for the next 5 years? So again, that's a 4% operational growth with a one-time 5-year override solution.
There has got to be some sort of a remedy, some sort of a negotiation, some sort of a technique that you can go to, because this is going to bankrupt it. There's no win in any of these scenarios with healthcare insurance and costs going up at that extreme.
Healthcare is a complex item and on a variety of different levels.
I understand all of the complexities about switching to GIC. I was just wondering whether you had done any analysis to see how much we could potentially save by doing that.
Yeah, the GIC actually has on their website a calculator that allows you to do that. It's just the savings would be, I believe, in the neighborhood of $800,000 to $1 million. If we get agreement on that with our units, it would partially, not partially, completely depends upon getting agreement with our units. What's interesting that you should know is the GIC is the Group Insurance Commission, which is a commission made up basically of 3 parties, one labor representative, one management representative, and a neutral. And they make the determination on behalf of all state employees, without the need to bargain, what is the type of plans that will be offered, what are the benefits the plans will be offered, that will be within any particular plan, what is the co-pay the state employee will pay, and so forth. So about a year ago, the legislature said, you know what, we're going to extend this benefit to cities and towns. However, what they didn't extend, and the one piece that they did not finish, which is why you've only seen 3 cities and towns go for it, is they put in place this condition that says in order for a city and town to join, you have to do what's called coalition bargaining, which is bargaining with all of the units. And again, the units each get a vote based upon the number of members they have with their units, a weighted average. And you have to get a 70% vote out of that weighted average in order to join. And so you've got in this town, and this is not uncommon for cities and towns, somewhere in the order of about 11 collective bargaining units. That if you look at the school department as well as the general government side. Okay, so there's quite a number of collective bargaining units that need to be addressed. There's also Mass General Law that addresses the manner in which health care is to be handled relative to employees of governmental units.
And it's not just about health insurance. I mean, I think the big budget buster last year for every department was fuel and heating costs. So it's not just one thing. I mean, there's a combination of things going here, but essentially the theme that you're really pointing to is trying to absorb all of those fixed costs, and they are outpacing us at this point. And we've systematically been, over the past few years, absorbing it through reductions in services, reductions in personnel.